Good evening, everyone. How we doing? A good friend of mine, Francisco Rodriguez, who actually spoke at my commencement back in 2010, called this the season of sheet cakes. So I want to welcome you all to the season of sheet cakes, where we basically celebrate everyone's accomplishments and basically help you move on to your future goals. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about updates on commencement, and for that I'm going to turn to George Takata, our Public Information Officer, who can share some information with you. George?
Okay, thanks, Dr. Buckley, and thank you, everybody, for joining in. We have put on emails, put on the website through Canvas and social media requests for our graduating students to submit photos for a virtual celebration, which will be on the graduation date, May 22nd at 6 p.m. This does not replace an in-person ceremony, as we will continue to do what we can to have that for you in the future. We don't have a date for that yet, obviously, because we don't know what's going to happen with the coronavirus as the months go on. So, but for now, we want to honor you as soon as possible. The directions are to submit to me a photo. My email address is in the emails and on all the posts. Just asking for a great picture, high resolution photo with what you're graduating in, your major, what you're where you're transferring to, your hometown, and a message that you'd like me to put on social media as well. So we can not only give you the recognition you deserve now, but especially since you've worked extra hard because of the circumstances, I think that you definitely deserve more than one celebration. So we have 11 photos now. We just opened it up last Thursday. Hope to get a lot more because we do have a lot of graduates this year. So we just want to honor you with a great virtual celebration. We plan on doing so with what we hope will be an outstanding video presentation. So thank you.
Thanks, George. And just to reiterate, we invite you to participate in this online YouTube video style celebration. But I want to commit to you that the recommendations come to the president's office is that we basically hold a face-to-face ceremony for you and with you. And the recommendation right now has been that we defer this until December of this year. We'll continue to look at what's going on in the community and what our health standards and statistics allow us to do based upon our county Department of Health, as well as our state government recommendations. But I'm committed to you that we will have a real commencement as soon as we possibly can. I also wanted to take a moment now to recognize one of our Reedley family members. We had someone leave us today. Pam Gilmore passed away, and some of you may know her. If you don't, you should speak to someone who does, because she had a long history here at Reedley as being what I would call a master teacher, and she impacted a lot of lives. So I'd like to call for a moment of silence in Pam's honor. Thank you. I'd just like to mention that it takes truly a village. It takes a community of people to basically create a college and an institution of higher learning. And when people like Pam participate in that community, they live on through those that basically they touch and those that have worked with them. So we shall remember Pam for as long as we're within the Reedley community. Now, another important bit of information for you. You should have received a communication earlier this week regarding the CARES financial support for students. Chris, are you online with us tonight? Chris Cortez is our Director of Financial Aid, and I just wanted to mention that she and her fellow financial aid officers have been working tirelessly over the past month, basically working on modeling and looking at distribution of these funds. We had a two campus work group that basically was Madera, well, and the Oakhurst Center as well as Reedley, discussing the ways in which we could best distribute these resources to students. And the good news is that today, in fact, this evening, we are passing electronic transfers on to those of you that qualify as either Pell eligible or some other form of financial aid eligible recipient. So those initial distributions are being made either through electronic transfer or the checks are actually being mailed as we speak. So you should be receiving those funds by the end of this week, and you can use them as you see fit. We are continuing to work through this COVID-19 crisis in many different ways. I would like you to again consider the fact that we have done our best to distribute resources to you in the form of electronic support in the way of laptops and hotspots. And I'd just like to remind you that as we get close to the end of the semester, when you are finished with the use of those tools, we will have a procedure to return those back to the campus. In fact, I noticed Dan Demers is online with us tonight. Dan, would you like to talk just a little bit about what your thoughts are in terms of how you might like to have students think about returning those technology tools?
Yeah, Dr. Buckley, thanks. I have been working with our IT department of trying to figure out kind of the most efficient way to be able to do that. We've come up with a plan, and I'll probably present it formally and kind of get some ideas and maybe some input. But we are thinking that we are going to create somewhat of a process whereby we can, using LRC 104, which is one of the major classrooms that we have on the opposite side of the computer library, creating kind of a walkthrough where students can bring in their particular assets or their whatever we've loaned out to them, drop it in by the IT department, and then kind of exit out through some double doors to kind of make sure things move as quickly as we can. I think one of the things that we've been looking at is how we can do that in a way that's convenient for the students. And we're looking at probably having a 2-week period beginning the week of finals and the week after. And then we'll be available most of the day during those 2 weeks. And then we'll have another session probably either late in June or earlier in July. And then we'll have yet another session probably in August to be able to allow for the opportunity to students that are needing those assets for the summer to be able to bring them back. We're just going to ask, we'll have a process when you bring them in. Obviously, we'll be practicing social distancing, and we'll have markers on the floors where people can stand. We'll have processes for being able to sanitize the equipment so that everybody's safe, and we can work that through. So we're kind of finalizing that right now. We'll start socializing that and sending that out via email and getting it out on social media. Probably at the end of this week, probably maybe the first of next week.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. I know a lot of you are beginning to think about the end of the term and thinking of finals week and preparing for finishing out in each of your classes. And now more than ever, some of these new features that have been put together by our systems office are important to you. And we've been talking about them now for our past several town halls. They include basically the EW as well as the pass, no pass grading option. And for that, I'd like to ask Renee Craig Marius, our Vice President of Student Services, to join me and just review some of the characteristics of these two features that students might want to take advantage of before the end of the term. Renee?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Buckley. Yes, first and foremost, we want to stress that if you're interested or you're thinking about dropping because of COVID-19 and the challenges and the difficulties, first, we want to really encourage you to speak with your counselor, your program counselor. We know that these situations, there's been a lot going on, and we want to make sure that we support you in your educational pursuits. So we want you to make informed decisions before you drop or even take pass, no pass grading. It's really important. So that's first and foremost. And so those options are available to students to drop with an EW, which does not impact your academic standing. And it does not at this point impact, from what we know, impact financial aid. We're still getting trying to get some clarity from the federal government on that. But again, those are things we're getting guidance ongoingly and day by day. So again, it's really important you reach out to financial aid. office as well as your counselor before making those decisions. But the point is to really try to eliminate barriers for you to have a negative impact in your educational journey.
Thanks, Renee. I also wanted to address your next steps in your educational plan. For those of you that are not graduating, that are going to stay with us, you should strongly think about taking at least one class during the summer. And why do I recommend that? Because right now we still have a shelter-in-place order from the state government, from our governor. And we don't really know how much longer that's going to last. And even if we have limited return to service for our surrounding businesses, we know that social isolation is going to be required for some time because of the lack of vaccine and lack of mass testing. We do have some good news this week. If you've heard the recent news that Fresno City College is now offering free testing to people to find out if you either have or have had the virus or have never had the virus. If you've been curious, you can basically make an appointment online and basically drive in and have the COVID-19 test at this point. And so you can, at least for yourself at this point in time, find out if you've ever had the virus. But that said, we need a great deal more testing to be confident to return to the world the way we knew it. And so for this summer, if you remember, we are planning a totally online summer session. But you should be able to find at least one class that'll help you stay on your path and continue to make progress towards your goal. And so I recommend that if you haven't yet signed up, please take a look at what's available through our schedule of classes, not only for summer, but look forward to fall as well. I know some of you are waiting to make a choice about fall. And it's difficult for us to offer a clear picture of exactly what's going to happen in fall. But I can say that we've been working behind the scenes quite hard across the campus with our faculty, our staff, and administration to try and make intelligent choices for you to offer a mix of face-to-face and primarily online courses for fall. We plan at this point of offering as many classes as possible in the skills area in a face-to-face mode with social distancing. We don't have specifics yet, and I'm not going to steal thunder from our Vice President of Instruction, Dale Van Dam. Dale, would you like to make any comments about that? Dale might not be with us this evening, and so I'll simply say that we will be publishing as much about our fall schedule as possible to you on our website and through social media, so you know exactly what to expect. So if you're waiting to see if we're going to have face-to-face classes, as of right now, we're planning certainly for some classes to be offered face-to-face. I do think, though, my crystal ball says the majority of our lecture classes will probably be either hybrid or totally online, or some small number of sections offered face-to-face for those of you that think that you just don't enjoy the online format well enough to do well in it. But I would offer you that we will have far more preparation for the fall semester. We will basically roll out support services as we have this semester. You'll be fully supported in your student services as well as the instructional programs to do the best work you can come fall. Same thing is true for this summer. We will support you in any way we can. So that said, let's now begin the process of taking questions. Stephen, how are you today?
Dr. Buckley. Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. Yes, students, if you can drop a question in the chat, anything that you would like to ask for Dr. Buckley or any of the other faculty that are on the line right now. We did receive a question already. A couple of weeks back when we had first started town halls, we had talked about possibly still doing student awards through a virtual student award ceremony for the different departments and even the Tiger Awards, but we haven't heard anything about that. Could you update us on that? Is that still the plan?
Well, I know that athletics is moving forward with their awards, so that part has been actually ironed out and is moving forward. I don't have much on the academic side of the house that I recall. Renee, do you remember hearing anything about that specifically?
No, not any specifics, but let us look into that to see if there's other things being planned. We've been spending quite a bit of time planning and ensuring that we have a an awesome virtual graduation ceremony for folks, but let me go and take a look and see if there were other events being provided in a modified format, a virtual format, Stephen. I'll do that.
It's a good question, and I appreciate that opportunity to go back and review that topic. I'll be the first to say we've been working very hard and very fast in a lot of different areas, and sometimes we unfortunately do drop a ball here and there. And this one, unfortunately, I just did not follow up on, and I apologize for that. So we will get back to you by the end of the week.
Thank you. Yeah, I know some departments, like academic departments, I know they give out special awards to students. And then I know Tiger Awards, I just got a message that Tiger Awards are handled by student activities. So those plaques are on order right now. They're planning some sort of a drive-through pickup for those, and we'll talk hopefully kind of like we're doing a virtual commencement. Hopefully we can do something of sorts like that for just running the student names and what award they were getting. So we'll look into that.
I'm looking over our list of
yes.
participants right now to see if David Santesteban is with us. Are you with us, David? Our athletic director? I don't think he's with us tonight, so I'll have him send out some additional information on that later.
I see Coach Purse. Coach Purse, do you know when they're doing academic awards?
Yes, I do. For athletics?
Yes, for
Yes.
athletics.
It'll be on Thursday, May 14th and Friday, May 15th from 4 to 6 p.m. It's going to be a drive up, very similar to the food pantry last week. They'll have a Reedley College backdrop if they need a photo. And at that time, the Scholar student athletes will receive their reward and a gift from the Kiwanis Club. And we're going to really miss out on that ceremony because it's a first class organization by the Kiwanis, and they put a great event on for our student athletes within the district. So it's just a good reward for hard work on the field and in the classroom. I know we had 17 players on it, so we're very happy with how we did in the classroom, and at least it's something, and it's not ideal, but it's something.
Awesome. So 14th
Thank you,
and
Coach
15th.
Purse.
Yes, thank you. So 14th and 15th from 4 to 6. Renee, were you saying something?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Stephen. I just noticed in the chat box, Veterans is having something on the 15th.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we'll get some details. Maybe what we need to do is put all of these events in one place on the webpage. Maybe they're there, but we'll make sure that it's all in one place for students to find that and know what to do to participate.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look forward to that announcement. We have another student that said they have not received anything from the CARES funding yet. You said that's just beginning to get rolled out. Is that correct?
It is, and I should mention to you that there is a third tier of funding where students will have to make application. If you do not have a FAFSA on file as yet, you will be receiving a letter requesting, or a phone call, that you fill out a FAFSA and supply the accompanying documentation. The federal government unfortunately changed the CARES criteria a couple of weeks ago and changed our distribution method as well. And so some of you may still qualify for funding, but will not be receiving it immediately. I can't say much about this, but I do know that through some communications that that set of criteria may be questioned. But at this point, we're trying to get as much money out to students as quickly as we can, to those that already qualify with the pre-existing criteria that were set by the federal government. And the rest of you will probably have to fill out a FAFSA to access the remaining funding at this time.
Awesome, thank you. Another question, probably for Mr. Demers, is if we are planning on or if we're registered for classes for summer and fall, are we still planning on turning in that equipment? I know we had asked before, but maybe we're not taking a summer class and coming back just for the fall. Is that something that we still need to turn in and then come back with?
Well, that's an excellent question. It's one that we really, I don't think, have considered yet. We were really looking more at those that were staying continuously enrolled. So if you were in the spring semester and had technology and you've already signed up for summer, you would be allowed to keep that technology. In terms of the gap between spring and fall, I'm not as certain about that. Dan, do you have any feedback for us on that?
So I think the challenge for us is to kind of get a better handle on what the fall semester is going to look like for us. I think we would assume that if, we certainly want to make the student experience the least disruptive as we can. So I think as we kind of get closer to understanding what our fall semester is going to look like, if there have been IT assets that have been distributed, and those IT assets are probably going to be useful for you in the fall, I would think, again, Dr. Buckley and I have probably not talked about it in detail, but I would think you would probably hang on to those. And I think that's probably true for summer session as well. What we want to try and do, and I think our goal here in attempting to try and recover as much of the technology as we can, is I think there's going to be a bit of a transition between people that have current assets for spring semester aren't going to need them for the fall semester, but students might need them for the summer session. So there's kind of this rotation, if you will, of a limited number of assets trying to get to a maximum number of students, while at the same time we're trying to make sure that those assets are ready to be delivered. So it's a great question. I think there's a lot of conversation and dialogue. I wish I had more of a concrete answer for you. I think the best way to answer it at this point in time is we're certainly going to do whatever we can to make the student experience probably the least disruptive as we can in that.
Yeah, and I think I'll tag on to that to say that I agree with Dan, and I'll just make an executive decision that if you are already signed up for classes for the fall, if you're already signed up for classes in the summer, you'll be allowed to retain those assets so that we don't have to check them in and check them right back out again. I think that's going to really probably improve the satisfaction for the student and also for the part of our employees on campus, because it reduces the workload. So I guess where we would expect students to be planning to turn back assets would be if you're graduating and not planning on taking any additional courses, then we would appreciate it if you would make arrangements to think about returning those assets at the end of the semester.
Awesome, thank you. We have a hand raised from a phone number 559, I see 290-1448. Do you have a question?
Yeah, feel free to ask.
Hey, this is Dale Van Dam. I'm on the phone tonight, and so I had a little trouble.
Yeah, and I heard your new puppy in the background too.
That was him. I just wanted to say on the fall schedule, we are working very closely with faculty members, with deans, to try to define the conditions under which we could bring some of our skills-based and lab-based courses back face-to-face. You're familiar with the challenges of social distancing and limiting the number of students being together, but we also know how critical it is that our students in a variety of CTE programs and lab classes have the ability to meet at least partially with their faculty face-to-face. So we're working hard to try to bring that back, as Dr. Buckley said, in while still respecting all of the state, national, county regulations regarding safety. That's our number one consideration. So just we know that there are students who have really thrived in the online environment, and that environment is the right place for them right now with other responsibilities they have with family and so on. But we also know there are students who just don't feel as comfortable in that environment, and there are classes that don't lend themselves as well to online. So we're working hard to provide a variety of modalities so that all of our students are accommodated.
Thanks, Dale. And I wanted to build on that by simply saying I appreciate all the students that responded to our recent survey. we were able to look at some preliminary results from that student survey Monday morning, first thing, and again on Tuesday with the entire campus emergency response team. And everyone in the Reedley family is now looking at that data and trying to suggest ways that we can adjust to better accommodate everyone's needs. It's very helpful to have information to work from. By expressing the student voice in this case through that survey, you gave us help in designing and innovating in new ways to help meet your needs. So thank you for participating, and I'll thank you in advance for doing that again to help us adjust as we go forward. All right.
Yeah, thank you. All right, haven't received any other questions or comments, so please put them in the chat if you have any. I do have a question for you, Dr. Buckley. I sat in that board meeting last night, and there were some pretty sobering statistics about the budget coming up. So I just wanted to hear from your perspective, are we seeing maybe sections getting cut down in the upcoming semesters, summer, fall? Are we seeing, if they are offered online, are we seeing bigger class sizes, hopefully, so that way we can still accommodate for more students? Just wanted to hear from you on that.
That's a truly excellent question, Stephen. And there's actually already a news article that's out about that particular board meeting, because let's face it, that when it comes to institutional planning, and now I'm talking about the entire district, it's important to basically take a worst case scenario, at least first, and plan backwards from that. In previous town halls, I've used the term basically using contingency planning. And that is a very important concept for everyone to be aware of. If you've never had to do contingency planning, what it means is when you don't know exactly what you're facing, you create several plans that basically can help meet whatever you actually run into. And that's what the district is actually doing right now. While it's actually setting that worst case scenario first, knowing how bad it could be and looking at what it might take to basically survive as an institution, and that means State Center Community College District as a process over a 3-year period. No one really knows how bad this is going to be. I was just listening to some news articles before I logged in this evening, and farmers across the Midwest are having a horrible time right now because in terms of logistics and having food processing plants shutting down, there's an awful lot of waste going on because we haven't been able to connect suppliers to marketplaces. And it's just an example of how in these sorts of emergencies, we have to innovate, we have to come up with new ways to communicate, and we have to basically respond quickly to needs. And that's what we're trying to do here at Reedley College right now. All of our administration, all of our faculty, all of our staff have been meeting in different venues and different opportunities to discuss what those options could be. And what you'll find is in every group meeting, we're trying to keep cuts, if they do occur, as far away from the classroom as possible. But you actually mentioned something, Stephen, that's an interesting opportunity, and that is when you basically move your courses to an online environment, you can actually serve more students because you don't have the physical boundaries of the classroom. You don't have a limitation in terms of the number of seats. However, there are guidelines as to how many students we should serve in one online section. So I think you will see some efficiencies as we basically increase the numbers in online sections, while we basically may have to actually reduce some of the section sizes for laboratory face-to-face in the fall just to maintain safe standards. So we're going to be working as hard as we can to basically adjust where we can. To be honest, what you're going to see trimmed first will be things like travel and conference type funding. Those will go away. We'll basically see other types of changes that don't affect the classroom first, as I said before. We're not at that point yet. What you saw in the board meeting last night was a hypothetical, meaning it's not real yet, but it's what we're projecting as a worst case. So what we do at this point is talk with our students, we talk with our faculty and our staff, and we basically try to decide what could be cut, what could be reduced, and how do we increase efficiencies, as you very aptly pointed out, because if we have less money, what can we do with that money to reach as many students as possible and meet the greatest need?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that answer. I know I would share some of the current concern for some of my fellow students, especially in like the Caterpillar program or the automotive program, the aviation program, and some of these classes that require them to do hands-on training. And just moving forward, I know it'll be tough times, so I'm just going to tell them to be patient and just see where this will take us. I know that our faculty and administration are going to do whatever they can to still accommodate to those students, but I know it's a tough time and an unprecedented time.
Yeah, if I could just make a comment to follow up on that. It's difficult during times like this when you can't see what's actually happening, when you can't see the impact of the virus on your own family or your friends. It doesn't necessarily have a reality for you. And you can see that actually in the behavior in other states and even here on the West Coast when people want to go to the beach. And I just would caution everyone that even though you can't see it, it's having an impact on our way of life, and it's having an impact on the people around us. You may remember that actually one of my best friends, the person who actually married my wife and I, was one of the persons interviewed on CNN. He was basically sequestered on that initial Princess cruise ship in Japan, and then was flown to Nebraska for additional quarantine. And he survived, but he was very sick for quite some time. And I've lost a number of friends basically over the past couple of months to unfortunate deaths, and we've lost colleagues. So it is happening. It is real. You can't always see it, but we are basically sheltering in place for a reason. We're trying to prevent the spread of the virus, and that is impacting the way in which we can teach, unfortunately. But we're trying to keep everyone as safe as possible while allowing you to continue to pursue your goals.
Awesome, thank you. I'm not seeing any other comments or questions right now, so this will be the last call for any comments or questions.
Can I take an
Yes.
opportunity to have basically Lisa McAndrews and George talk a little bit about our last food distribution and what we're planning for the future? Lisa?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Glad I'm able to join you. We had a very successful food drive last Tuesday. We were able to serve our students 131, I believe 131, 132. George, you can correct me. But it was very successful. We enjoyed our time out there. It was very organized, and we were very appreciative those that came out and helped us and volunteered their time. I want to encourage students to visit our food pantry. We continue to stay open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's pretty much stocked every Monday, and so please come over and help yourselves to lots of different food and items that you can have in your homes and be able to share with yourselves and your family.
And Lisa and George, when are you going to have your next parking lot distribution? Do you know yet?
I think we're targeting that last week of the semester on that Tuesday. So I want to say the 19th, and you'll hear more out of the PIO office. We'll be promoting that, but that's kind of the date that we're looking at, May 19th.
Yep, that's right, Lisa. We're looking at May 19th from 10 a.m. until noon. And that'll be for students only. And then, of course, we'll continue to do it through the summer, but I think we'll open it up to the community over the summer, but that still needs to be discussed in more detail.
And George, tell us a little bit more about what's happening with Redeemer's Church and our Bitwise partnership.
Sure. We're partnered with Bitwise and Neighborhood Industries to have food distributed to our communities in Reedley, Dinuba, Orange Cove, Kingsburg, Sanger, Parlier. I might be leaving a couple out. Basically, Reedley College is being used to store the food in our refrigeration area in the cafeteria. They've sent 2 shipments already, and it's already been distributed out to the community. Redeemer's Church has volunteers to drive and basically deliver this food to the immunocompromised or people who don't have vehicles. It's open to everybody, students and all the communities. It's been working pretty smoothly now. We're going to get another shipment of food, I think, either late in the next couple of days or early next week. And this is an ongoing effort during this pandemic to help out our community, and we're very proud to be part of it.
We realize that as a matter of course, because of the economic shutdown, there's an awful lot of people that are out of work and have food needs for their family. Please, please take advantage of what's being distributed through the Bitwise project as well as through our food pantry. Please don't hold back. If you need resources, please come and utilize what we have for you. I also want to reiterate that in terms of summer school, our summer session is available to you so that you can basically stay engaged and have a community where you can still have conversations with other students and conversations with faculty and work with our campus professionals. I think it's important to stay engaged during these times and basically make progress towards your goals. So that's an important point. If you haven't yet registered for fall, please be aware we will be publishing more specific information about the types of courses in terms of how we'll be delivering those courses and any other special conditions as quickly as we can. We hope to have everything mapped out and ready for you, hopefully by no later than the end of this month. We'd actually like to have things posted in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that information. I again want to celebrate with you your accomplishments this year. Those of you who have hung in through this COVID crisis, if you are graduating, if you are receiving either a certificate or degree, my hat is literally off to you because you've overcome basically barriers that no one would have ever anticipated at this point. So congratulations. And I hope you can join us in our online celebration. And I want to reiterate again that all you have to do is send a picture in via our website, and George has the instructions posted there for how you do that. Cap and gown is still available through our bookstore, so if you would like to basically make that purchase and dress up in a cap and gown and in the Reedley stole, that's available to you. We still have Reedley tassels as well through the bookstore, so please feel free to participate in that and join in the celebration on May 22nd. All right, anything else, Stephen?
Yeah, one last thing. I don't see, is Elise on the line right now? Elise from the College and Career Center, or the Career Center? I don't see her. All right, so I was talking with Elise this week. They're looking into possibly doing Coffee and Careers, an event that they used to do that during the school year. They would invite somebody to come and speak about what profession they're in, what the details of their job are, and just for you to come in and be a part of that. They're possibly trying to do one through Zoom. They're trying to contact the students and see when the best time would be. But some students can do mornings, some do evenings. They want to see what the best time slot would be. So if any of you students are on the line, do a Coffee and Career at 6 p.m. or 8 a.m., whatever it is, please just throw that in the chat. We're trying to do more virtual events just to keep the students engaged. And this is a great event, just bringing in outside sources from our community and having them share about their jobs and some of the ways that we can get connected in that. And some of the other departments I know are looking into that. As ASG, we're trying to reach out to the clubs and see if the clubs will still hold club meetings and different things like that. So be looking for those. Definitely want to keep the students engaged during this time and keep them connected.
I see another question regarding if we're going to have additional town halls. Serena, when is our next scheduled event? Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to have to speak. It's actually, I believe it's next Thursday at 8 a.m.
Very good.
My calendar froze. Pretty sure it's next Thursday at 8 a.m.
Yeah, I have May 14th, 8 a.m.
And then there's one final one on the 19th, I believe at 3.
Well, for that 8 a.m. town hall, I'm bringing my coffee because repeat after me, I am not a morning person. So, but yeah, we're going to continue to have these.
Yes.
Sounds like a future student.
Yeah. Hey, Canelo, that's you. Hey, so yeah, so we have those next week, Thursday, at 8 a.m. The week after that, we will have it at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. So those are our last two for the spring semester. I do not see any more links in the or questions in the chat. So Dr. Buckley, as always, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you keeping us connected.
Sure.
And here's to all the Tigers out there. Let's finish this semester strong.
Sounds good. I appreciate all the work you've done this year, Stephen, and we need to get together to take care of plaquing you, as you know. You received an honor last night at the trustees meeting, the Board of Trustees meeting, and we want to pass that along with some face-to-face congratulations and some elbow bumps. So I also wanted to, before we leave tonight, I just wanted to share with you some thoughts about how you continue to work through this situation. Everything we experience in life affects the way we basically work with each other in the future and really the work that we do day to day. And this is really a good example. You're learning skills right now that many of you probably didn't want to learn. Many of you didn't want to be online. Many of you didn't want to basically have anything other than a face-to-face class because that's where you had your comfort zone. And I understand that. But if you think about the way businesses are evolving around you, look at what's happening with restaurants and calling in an order, or actually using the internet to literally submit your order online, and then you drive in and pick it up at the curb. Look at the changes that are happening around us right now, and think about how you're going to be adapting when you actually enter the business world yourself, whatever that happens to be. These are valuable skills that you're learning, and we all have crises. We all have things that we didn't anticipate. And I wanted to share a story with you before we leave tonight. When I was basically finishing my undergraduate program, I had actually applied for and received approval to join the state park system. I was going to be a state park ranger. I had my uniform, I had my badge, I had everything. I was ready to go. And the night before I basically started work, Jerry Brown, the first time he was governor, decided he had to cut the state budget. Sound familiar? Guess what happened to me? I had to basically look at my life, look at what was going on around me, and look at my skill set and see what else I could do. So instead of going into really a naturalist role in the state park system, I went into healthcare. For the next 15 years of my life, I did everything from patient care to clinical research, and then translated that into a teaching career and turned from that into basically working towards becoming a full professor, which I did. I might still have become a full professor. That was one of my goals, but I got there through a different route. And the only reason I mentioned this tonight is that you're going to find similar challenges to what I just described, and you have one right now. And so the question is, what can you learn from this? What can you put in your toolbox that will basically help you in the future when you basically have other opportunities? This is an opportunity, even though it is a crisis. So with that, I wish you the best of evenings, and I look forward to seeing you soon. And please send your pictures in for commencement. Good night.
Good night.